Hello and welcome to Spectrum TV News at 2. I am Francis Oyima Edet, coming to you live on Spectrum TV. Let's take a look at the headlines. Federal government to set up disability decks in MDS. Reps fume service chiefs IGP shun debate. Plus, Israel Defense Forces gain control of Gaza harbor. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Many thanks for joining us. First in the news this afternoon is from the national scene, where the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, says education and skill development are the answers to Nigeria's hunger and poverty. Shettima made the statement at a meeting with a group from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The Vice President emphasized how climate change affects agricultural productivity and how vital it is to implement climate-smart farming practices in order to guarantee food security for Nigeria's expanding populace. He therefore pleaded with the foundation to establish a strategic alliance with the Nigerian government in order to boost the country's agricultural output, enhance nutrition, and fortify the educational system. Away from that, the federal government has said that in order to meet the needs of persons living with disabilities, PLWDS, heads of ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, must set up disability decks and assign officials to staff them. A senior special assistant, SSA to the President on Disability Matters, Mohammed Issa, made this known during a press conference in Abuja. Issa noted that his office would engage relevant stakeholders on the amendment of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2018. He added that the office would also work towards evolving mechanisms for the amendment of the Act to comply with the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, UNCRPD, to remedy the various defects in the law. Meanwhile, the federal government has announced plans to establish industrial hubs to accelerate job creation and address rising unemployment in the country. President Bola Tinubu disclosed these at the 55th International Conference of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management in Abuja with the theme Sustainable Human Resources, Business and National Development. The President, represented by the Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Nkiru Onyejocha, outlined the administration's commitment to steering Nigeria towards self-reliance and reducing dependency on others amid global challenges. He reiterated the federal government's commitment to end poverty, adding that the industrial hub was deeply intertwined with the government's focus on economic growth and job creation. Meanwhile, the federal government has inaugurated a 10-man committee to strengthen the mechanism for full-scale and industrial production of salt and kaolin in the country. During the inauguration ceremony held at the headquarters of the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development in Abuja, Permanent Secretary Mario Obe said the initiative to explore and exploit salt and kaolin aligns with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu's administration. We urged the committee to come up with other recommendations that would assist the government in taking proactive measures to develop the sector. The Permanent Secretary gave a timeline on or before November 30, 2023 to the committee for the submission of its report, given the urgency of the assignment. We move to the Green Chambers, where the House of Representatives is reportedly furious over the absence of the service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police, Kaide Betokun, at an interactive session scheduled to hold today during plenary. Recall that the House had last week scheduled a sectoral debate with the security chiefs, as it plans to do with other sectors of the country, following a constitutional point of order by the Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kalu. The House rejected the representation of the security heads and instead postponed the session. The engagement has been rescheduled to Tuesday next week, as the House insisted that the service chiefs must appear at the debate. On labor matters, the Joint National Executive Council of the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria (TUC) has suspended its indefinite nationwide strike. A decision was reached at a meeting that deliberated on the outcome of an earlier interface with the federal government led by the National Security Advisor (NSA) Nuhu Ribadu. Organized labor said it has received a commitment from the Ribadu-led meeting that those arrested for the physical assault on NLC President Joe Ajero will be prosecuted. The NSA promised to bring both parties back to the table to iron out all issues in dispute, tendering an unreserved apology on behalf of the federal government for the brutalization Ajero and other members of the Congress received. In a separate development, the Director General of the National Youth Service Corps (NYSC), Brigadier General Yeshua Ahmed, has warned corps members to avoid every form of misconduct that may lead them into trouble during their service year. Ahmed also warned that violating country would be sanctioned appropriately. The Director General stated this in his address to corps members during his visit to NYSC Kano State Orientation Camp in Kasola Dam, Karaye, and Katsina State Orientation Camp. While congratulating them on the successful completion of their courses of study, he added that improper dressing in NYSC uniforms attracts sanctions. Move now to Nigeria's leader, President Bola Tinubu, who has declared open the 19th All Nigeria Editors Conference in Uyo with an assurance that his administration will continue to provide an enabling environment for a free and robust media practice in the country. President Tinubu, who was a special guest of honor at the conference with the theme Stimulating Economic Growth, Technological Advancement, Role of the Media, urged media managers to be gatekeepers against misinformation and disinformation in the society. The president, who was represented by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris Malagi, said, in fostering the pursuit of journalism in the country, the Nigerian government's commitment to freedom of the press is not waned. The president used the occasion to assure Nigerians that the federal government would reverse the worrisome trend in the economy. According to him, he was aware of the pains being faced by Nigerians and had taken critical steps to cushion the effects of petrol subsidy removal on the citizenry. In a related development, Kwara State Governor Pastor Moino yesterday commended the Nigerian media for their role in strengthening democracy and good governance in Nigeria, while calling on governments at all levels to protect the freedom of the press, to enable it play its watchdog and agenda-setting role. Governor Ino, who gave the commendation while speaking at the 19th All Nigeria Editors Conference 2023 holding at the Ibom Icon Hotel and Golf Resort in Uyo, described the theme of the conference as apt, noting that it sought to examine critical issues in the nation as they relate to the role of the media and chart the way forward. The governor, who said the independence of the press is very important in a growing society, urged the press to try as much as possible to inform appropriately, even in the face of all pressures. He used the occasion to roll out his achievements in various key sectors, including education, agriculture, rural development, aviation, and security advancement, among others. Also speaking, the Cross River State Governor, Prince Basio II, who was represented by the Commissioner for Information, Erasmus Ipang, called for caution by media professionals, saying the trending use of artificial intelligence (AI) in the presentation of media items to the public, if not checked, was capable of destabilizing the peace in the society. In their separate remarks, the chairman of the conference, Sam Amuka, and the president of Nigeria Guild of Editors, Eze Anaba, stressed the need for participatory democracy for a better country, even as they lauded the continuum in the government of Akwa Ibom State. They extolled the rise agenda of the state, which they affirmed was already yielding dividends. To move now to Africa, where Malawi's President Lazarus Chakwera has suspended, with immediate effect, all international travel involving himself and all government officials. He has also ordered all ministers currently outside the country to return home. Speaking in a televised address, Chakwera also announced restrictions on local travel and a reduction by half of the fuel allocation to cabinet ministers and senior government officials. The president said the measures will be in place until the end of the financial year next March. Still in Africa, South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa says his country has referred Israel's government to the International Criminal Court (ICC) over its actions in the Gaza conflict. Ramaphosa noted that South Africa did not condone Hamas' earlier attack on Israel, but were opposed to Israel's ongoing actions, which the country believed warrant investigations by the ICC. Reports say South Africa has been one of the most vocal supporters of Palestinians in the ongoing conflict with Israel. On the foreign scene, the Israel Defense Forces (IDF) has said that the force has taken operational control of the harbor in Gaza City, which is the center of the Strip's fleet of fishing vessels. In a statement, the IDF said the harbor had also been used as a training facility for Hamas fighters. The statement added that the Israeli forces destroyed 10 tunnel shafts as part of the operation. Still on the foreign scene, new Foreign Secretary David Cameron has made his first working visit to Ukraine, meeting President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv. Cameron reiterated the UK's support for Ukraine, promising it would be there for however long it takes. He promised to continue Britain's moral support, the diplomatic, economic, but above all, military support. And still to come in the news, Super Eagles to begin 2026 World Cup qualifier against Lesotho today. To stay with us.
For brilliant broadcasts and entertainment, sports on the go, and news around the world, watch Spectrum TV on StarTimes DTH channel 421 and free-to-air frequency 12733. Visit our website SpectrumTVLive.ng. Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon. One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Every society is premised on the quality of relationships forged by its inhabitants. The health of these relationships determines how well people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai Anyekan on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday 2:30 to 3 p.m. on channel 421 on Star Times to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
Many thanks for staying with us, and now to the rest of our news stories. On a business news, the federal government has urged West and Central Africa countries to collaborate for the success of the African Continental Free Trade Area (AfCFTA). Speaking during the 18th Managing Directors Roundtable of the Port Management Association of West and Central Africa in Lagos, a permanent secretary of the Federal Ministry of Transportation, Magdalene Ajani, called for a collective action for the success of AfCFTA. Ajani emphasized the need for a united Africa, stating that one Africa is possible if all participating countries decided to work together. She encouraged participants to turn discussions into actionable plans, assuring them that Nigeria, under the administration of President Bola Tinubu, to prioritize the development of the maritime sector. Still in business, the Minister of Aviation and Aero Development, Festus Keyamo, has said that implementation of a single African air transport market will reduce intra-African trade deficit by 51%. Keyamo disclosed this at a workshop on African aviation market integration, single African air transport market, regulatory framework organized by the African Civil Aviation Commission in Abuja. He stated that the quest to increase air connectivity between African countries cannot be achieved without the involvement of the Foreign Affairs Ministry. The minister stressed the need to eliminate barriers inhibiting the growth of air connectivity in Africa. In health, United Nations has entered into a partnership with the federal government to develop a national disaster risk reduction action plan for Nigeria. The United Nations Development Programme Sahel Resilience Project Manager in Nigeria, Rashmi Tekatel, made the announcement in Abuja at the workshop on the development of a national disaster risk reduction strategic action plan 2023 through 2030 for Nigeria. According to Tekatel, Nigeria has experienced 440 disasters with several catastrophic floods leading to the tragic loss of lives and